Hey, what's up and what's going on, guys? This is another live stream from WebBoss. My name is Aremu Smog, and in today's live stream, I'll be walking you through how to convert a Figma design to HTML and
Live
CSS.
stream from WebBoss. My name is Aremu Smog, and in today's live stream,
Sorry, there was a mistake there. So I didn't turn off YouTube rather before I started this stream. But if you are just joining this live stream, like I mentioned, I'll be walking you through how to convert a Figma design to HTML and CSS. And I will not be doing this alone. I have a friend here. His name is Alao Ifeoluwa. He's a designer by profession, a photographer also, and he's just getting into the world of web development. And some weeks back, we had a conversation around the fact that most of the tutorials that he has watched, there are certain approaches that they were taking to the whole web design and web development process. So I'm like, okay, fine. Why not let us just jump on a live stream and let's just see how this is going to work out and let's just see what these things look like in real life. So I'll bring in Ifeoluwa on board. He will introduce himself and we'll get started. So Ife, what's up? Introduce
All
yourself
right.
and let's get started.
Good evening. My name is Alawi Feolua. I'm happy to be here to learn and see new ways and easy approach to convert codes from Figma or designs from Figma to web. So
Oh,
my host for today is Aremu Smog.
yep, Small Daddy.
So I'm really happy to be here to learn
Awesome,
from you.
awesome. So if anybody joins this live stream, don't expect this to be the most serious live stream in the world. We'll just be having a chit chat and we'll just be writing code on the side and all of that. So I'll go ahead and share my screen now and we'll get into it. So for the design that I'll be converting into HTML and CSS, so this is what the design looks like in Figma. So I actually did this design, and if you're interested in how we came about this design, the video is actually on WebBoss YouTube channel as well. So if you go to the YouTube channel, that's like the very first video that you'll see how to design a landing page in Figma. So you can go check that out and see how we did this design. So this is the design like I've mentioned, and we'll just get straight to it. So like every project, so we've taken a standard procedure to this particular project. So the first thing that we'll do is to create a GitHub repository. So I'll come over to my GitHub account here, click on my menu icon here. I'll click on your repositories. So that will load all the repositories that I have already. Then I'll click on new. Then I'll give this a name. So the name of the project, it's a fictional beard kit company. So the name of the project is Beard Kit. So I'll come over here and do beard-kits live stream since we are doing this live. I will ignore the description for now. I'll make it public. I'll add a README file. Git ignore, I'll leave that out. Then I'll click create repository. Awesome. So when I'm done with that, the repository is now on GitHub. So I need to get it on my laptop. So I'll come over here and open up Terminal. So this is on Mac, of course. So if you are using Windows, you can just use your command line interface or whatsoever and follow this procedure as well. So I will do CD documents Aremu Smog. So also, if you are strange to command line or the way command line works, we also have a video on how the command line works on the channel. So you can just check out this video on 5 commands that I think that every developer should know, whether in the world of web development or whatsoever. You can check that out as well. So I will do CD documents Aremu Smog, and to create a copy of this repository to my laptop, I can come over here and click on code, copy this guy, and do git clone, then paste the URL, and that will copy the repository for me. But I will not be using that approach. I prefer to use what is known as GitHub's command line interface. So it's just basically a set of tools that make it easier to work with GitHub in your command line. So I will do gh repo lists. So that is GitHub repositories list. That will list all the repositories in my GitHub account. So as you can see, these are all the repositories that I have. And I will do gh repo clone. That's beard Kit live stream.
Okay.
Get Kit
Okay.
live stream. So, and if you're interested in GitHub command line interface, so if you come over to Google and just type GitHub command line interface, the entire procedure is actually quite straight to the point. It's a very awesome tool. It's what I prefer to use these days over just using the normal Git command. So do check that out. GitHub didn't pay me for this video, but this is a tool that I've used and I really enjoy working with.
All right. Thank
Now,
you so
so
much. Thank you so
you said,
much. I said thank you. Thank you.
yeah. So I can now come in here and list all the files or the directories in this particular folder. So you can see all the projects that I have in here. Then I will do cd get kits live stream. So that's the
Okay.
name of the repo. If I click ls, you can see that what we have here is just a readme.md, similar to what I had in my GitHub account, readme.md. So we
Yes.
can then begin to make changes. So in order to open up this directory or this folder in VS Code, I'll simply do code and full stop, press enter, and that opens up the
Wow.
folder for me in
Wow.
VS Code. So basically, I guess you'll be learning a lot of shortcuts and all of those things as we proceed in the session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next thing I want to do is to open up command line interface, which is this terminal, because it can be quite stressful to always come here to type in code. So VS Code has a built-in functionality that allows you to use your terminal in VS Code. And if you press Control and the tilde sign is going to show up the terminal for you. So by default, if you're on Mac, you'll be using ZSH. If you're on Windows, you'll be using PowerShell. You can configure and add other command line interface like Git Bash and all of that. But for now, I'm fine with ZSH. So
Okay.
the next thing I want to do, of course, is so this is going to be converting a design to code, right?
The code. Yeah.
So and if you are converting a design to code, that's basically HTML, CSS, and maybe a little bit of JavaScript. So the first thing I want to do is, or the next thing I want to do is to create all the files that I'll be using. So I will use touch index.html. Again, if some of these commands look strange, there's this video that is waiting for you to watch it on command line tutorial for beginners. So you can check that out. You can see now that we have our index.html file here. I'll do touch style.css, then I'll do touch script.js, even if I will not be using the script.js. It's just nice to have. This is just like basic setup. So I'll come in within the HTML file here, and I'll press
So, so
apostrophe.
hello,
Uh,
Aramis.
exclamation mark. Yeah, what's up?
So instead of like developing the directory folder from maybe our Windows Explorer, we can just
Yeah.
use the terminal directly to create it.
Yeah. So, but what I
Okay.
did was I created that folder in GitHub. Sure you get. So what I now
Already.
did was, yeah, I created it. I came here to create the folder within GitHub.
Okay.
Then
Okay.
when I had created the folder in GitHub, so that's to enable me to push my code to GitHub anytime I make new changes and all of that. And if somebody is going to be working on this project with me, they can also collaborate with me on GitHub, right? So what I then did was to make a copy to my laptop using this GH repo clone live stream. When the
Nice.
when the repo was successfully cloned, the next thing was to go within that folder. When I entered the folder, I now open the folder up with VS Code. Then I have access to this guy and I can start creating things. So before I go ahead and type any code, so if I do this now, if I do git add and I put full stop and I do git commit and I say something like chop create files for code or initial commit or anything, I can then do git push. If I do git push and I come back here and I refresh and I refresh, let me just refresh this page. You can see now that we have
Wow.
index.html, scripts.js, and
Yeah.
style.css.
Yeah,
Cool.
I understand now.
Awesome. So I can now begin to code now. So, but before I begin to code, there's a VS Code extension that I would like to be enabled that is not enabled. And the reason that VS Code extension was not enabled is because when I opened up this folder, it could not recognize it will try and look within this directory for a file that is supposed to work with, which is like an HTML file or a JavaScript file, but none of those files existed. So what I'm simply going to do is, and the name of that plugin or that extension is known as Live Server. So I will simply close this guy, close up VS Code, come over here. If I press the up symbol, it's going to bring back this command without me having to retype it. Then press enter. It opens up VS Code again for me. I'll maximize the window here. And you can see that I now have this symbol that says go live.
Go
If I
live.
click on go live, it's going to open up this tab for me where obviously I've gone live. And to test that that is working, I'll come in here, press the exclamation mark and press tab, and it gives me the basic scaffold for an HTML file, which I don't need to know. Then I can come here and say that the title is Beard Kit. Save it up, come back here, then let me just put anything here. Let's say H1 Beard Kit.
Okay.
Save it up, and that would reflect automatically. That's supposed to reflect automatically over here. Let me, okay. So now we have Beard Kit showing up here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And that's like the basic setup that we have. So talking about basic setup, the next thing we need to do is, of course, link our style sheet. So I'll come here, I'll say link rel equals style sheet, then the href would be to style.css. So one mistake when you're watching tutorials many a times that maybe tutorials don't bring your attention to is, this style sheet, for example, is staying in the same level, like index.html, readme.md, script.js, and style.css. They are all literally like directly in this folder. If, for example, I try to create a folder and I call it style or styles, right, which is the ideal thing you would do when you're working on projects, because you might have a lot of style sheets or you might have a lot of HTML files and you just want to separate things just so that it makes more sense. Then I can come in here and say style.css, right? Then for me to link it up now, I will have to do href styles, //.css. That is, this style.css is staying inside this folder called styles.
Wow.
Yeah. But for now, I don't need this guy because this is a small project. I will simply move this guy to trash. Then I will leave this guy as style.css. Awesome. So, and how do we know if this style.css is working? So let's take a look at the design that we'll be working with. So this is the design. One property of this design, of course, is that everything is black. So I can simply come in here to our style.css and say body, and I say background color, black. So if I come over here, all things being equal, everything should be black. So that's an evidence that our style sheet has been correctly used. So very quickly, just to ensure that things look, so remember that I added a text of beard in here, just to ensure that that is still there as well. I will temporarily say that the color should be white, Save it up, and you can see that this guy is showing up as beard kit now. So we can then begin to write the code in total or go deep into the code. So the very first thing is to set the custom fonts. So you can take whatever approach to this, but setting the fonts that you'll be using in your project is one of the first things that you want to do, because it usually affects like the typography of the entire website in itself. So, and the font that was used for this particular design is called Noe Machina. And while there are various ways you can use custom fonts while working on a website, this is like the approach that I personally use. So I'll simply come in here and I will do at font face. I will do at font face. Then, so if you observe, I'm getting auto suggestion for most of the things that I'm doing. Like as I wrote at font face, it brought this suggestion. So that's because of a plugin that I'm using that is called Tab9, an extension rather, Tab9. So it's like an artificial intelligence. It's basically an artificial intelligence that that has like a repository that has studied a lot of code bases and is able to suggest like
Okay.
what you want to write next. Sometimes it can be annoying and sometimes you enjoy it. Like in this case, it just brought almost everything that I needed at a go. So you may want to check it out just for
All
like
right.
information and all of that. Right. So for the font family, I will just call this Nui Machina. And this font family is essentially the name that I will use to reference this font. So it's a custom font, does not come with your laptop, it doesn't come with my laptop, but I need to use it on my website, right? So I will just
Yes.
call it Nui Machina. Why you can call it anything you want, really, but just for the sake of recognition, and if somebody will be working your code base so that they can know the font you are using rather, just use the name of the font. Then for the URL, many a times your font may be stored directly in the directory of your project. So just reference it like that. But in this case, my font is actually saved on Cloudinary, which is a asset management tool or website. Basically, it just allows you to store things in the cloud. It's just like Google Drive, but it has a much more better developer experience, which means that it is much more suitable for when you are building stuff online. So I'll come in here to the folder that I've named Beard Kit, and you can see that I have another folder called
Wow.
Font.
Wow.
So,
Cool.
so
This
what
is
I will
awesome.
simply do, so
So I don't have to be having all these things on my laptop directly, like offline.
yeah, yeah, you necessarily do not have to have it on your laptop. So because even like when I worked on this project initially, like the first version of this project, like I'd switched my laptop in between that period, and I didn't really have to like pull my code base or anything because the font is in the sky. I say in the sky, in the cloud.
In
So
the
that's
cloud.
what I needed access to, right?
All right.
So
That's cool.
yeah. So I'll simply copy this guy now, copy the URL, then I will paste it in here. And you can paste it in here without quotations. There's no need for you to add quotations. So I'll save it up and let me bring this guy here. Then I will change. So I'll now come here and say font
Okay.
family.
Hello.
So let
Before
me
you
do something.
proceed, please, how
Okay.
how did you shift the body tagline
Okay,
to the
okay. Good question. So what I simply did was to um so if you highlight a block of code in VS Code
okay?
and you hold Alt or Option on Mac and you press the down button, you can move that block of code down.
Okay. Alt then down option or
Yeah,
up.
Alt down option. Yeah.
All right.
We may
Got
actually consider doing another video for what do you call it for VS Code shortcuts and all of these things. I think that
okay.
might be helpful as well. Okay. So so now we've created the fonts. At font face, font family is Noe Machina. The source is this guy. I can now come in here and simply say font family is Noe, Noe,
Machine.
Noe Machina. Save it up and come back to our code here. And you can see that the font has changed. So
Soft.
good. But there's one problem, which is that this font let me close GitHub CLI. They're not sponsoring this video now, so they should go and sleep. So, if you check Figma here, this particular header text here, the font weight is bold. This one is, I think this is medium or regular, right? So how do you now use the same font with various weights, right?
Okay.
Basically, what you just do is this. I can come in here. So yeah, I've simply said that, oh, any font that has a family of Nui Machina, you just reference this font. And you can see, if you check this URL, this one ends with like regular and some random characters. I can now specify a font weight for it. So I can come here and say font weight normal, or I can use these values. 400 actually stands for normal, so I can use 400. If I save it up, it still doesn't change anything because by default, your laptop uses the normal font. Also, so for this initial setup, I think I want to do this. I'll simply bring this guy here in VS Code as well. bring it to the then so that you can see the changes like live as we go on.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. So then let me close this guy out. So awesome. So we now have Nui Machina. So to bring in Nui Machina board, I will simply do Shift Alt or Shift Option and I will duplicate this guy. So this is Nui Machina. Then I will go and get the URL of the Nui Machina board. So if I come over here to Cloudinary, this is regular, this is medium, this is bold.
Bold.
Click on this guy, copy URL,
Alright. Okay.
then I will replace it with this guy, paste, and save it up. Come over here. You can see that it's bold already because I set the font weight here to 400. So these things work from top to bottom. So this is the last thing it's saying. That's why it's automatically done turn this guy to bold. So however, if I come over here, the value for bold is 700. Medium is 500, semi-bold is 600, and bold is 700. So if I save it up, you can see that this guy is now back to that weight of 400. And I can explicitly state it here that font weight should be um should be 400. So it will still basically give me the same thing. If I come over here and I say that font weight should be 700, it will load the
The
bolder
bold one.
font.
Yeah, the
In
bolder
fact,
font.
yeah, the bold font rather. I think the bold font is actually the more correct English to say.
Okay.
Awesome. So we have this covered. Let me just see, just to ensure that everything looks good, because this font is actually looking bold to me. Let me just give this guy a refresh, just to ensure. Let me comment it out a bit. Let me comment it out and let's see. It was looking bold.
So should in case we are using many fonts, this approach you've given me now will be able to tag the particular font and the weight I want to use directly.
Exactly,
Wow.
exactly. So
That,
you can use as many fonts as you want in here. Actually,
that's nice. That's
yeah,
nice.
cool. So so now we have that. So one key thing when you are converting designs to code is to look for as many similarities as possible. The earlier you're able to spot those similarities, the better for you because you are able to wield those similarities to your advantage. And that's why it's usually very important for like developers to have a sit down with designers to understand what's going on with design. It's not like the designer just ships some screens to you and expect you to just churn out code. I totally discourage that, and I don't think anybody should be doing it. So, because I'm the one who did this design, I understand everything that is going on here. So, I'll be talking about some of those similarities and how it can help us work faster while we are writing code. So, one common thing, or one similar thing, the first similar thing to this design is the fact that it is entirely black. And that's why I set the background color of the body to black, because really there is no point in having to set the background color of each section to black when the entire website is black. If the entire website was not black, I could actually set each section to black, but the entire website is black, so just make it black. The next thing is one thing that I know because I did this design is that all the colors here is actually the same, which means that the color of this logo, the color of this text, even though it's an outline, is actually the same with this guy, it's actually the same with this guy. So when you have spot that similarity, right, the next thing you now look for is in your own code base, how can you ensure that you are able to move fast? So what that means essentially is, for example, if the person who did this design decide to change the color of everything here to let's say yellow, you should be able to go within your code base and change it in one place and to reflect everywhere. So for example
Mm,
now, so here's what I'm saying. For example, if I say H1 and I say that the color is what's this color? This is the color right here. Let me copy and I paste H1 and I paste. Let's check our results. You can see that the color has changed. Now, let's assume that I have a paragraph as well. Say testing microphone, testing microphone. You can see that the color of testing microphone is white by default, right? And I
Yes.
come in here and I say that P color equals that color as well, right? That color as well. Save it up. The color has changed and it's working fine. What if this person now decides that I want all the color to be yellow? So that means I have to come in here and say yellow, save it up, come in here and say yellow, save it up. I've wasted a awesome amount of time. And the other thing is, if you're working on a large project, this is obviously not sustainable. And with that comes the idea of what is known as variables. Generally in programming, variables are basically containers that makes it easy for you to reuse values. I think that's like the best way I can describe this. And basically what that means is this is it means that I can save this brand color, this color that was used throughout the website. I can save it somewhere and have access to it. And if ever that color changes, I only need to make that change in one place. So the way to define variables in CSS is you will come over here and just do colon roots. Do just like you're defining a CSS property. Then I will do hyphen hyphen. In this case, I'll just call it brand color, and I will do hash and I will paste the current brand color there. Let me save it all and come over here. Obviously, it's not doing anything. Why? Because we have not called it. So I can now come in here and do var hyphen hyphen brand color and come over here, copy this guy and do hyphen hyphen and just copy and paste this guy. Let me save this up. Now, let
Wow.
me see. Now, what that means now is that I'm using this brand color value everywhere on the website. Now, even if I have 1 million sections and I need to change this brand color, I simply have to come in here and do yellow, save it up, and you see that it changes in every place. So,
Wow.
so that's
Wow.
something that's really
This makes
important.
life easier.
You say, yeah,
I said it makes life easier.
exactly.
Wow.
So these are one of the things that you want to bear in mind when you are working on projects like this. Awesome. So let's now go into the meat and the everything of this project. So the first section, obviously. So in developing, you can either go from top to bottom or from bottom to top. But until you've gained some confidence, I've actually done some projects where I actually went from bottom to top. Maybe because the top looked a bit more complex and I just wanted to like start from the bottom. It really doesn't matter, right? So in this case, we have this header here, and this header contains the logo. It contains the logo and the navigation bar. So I'll simply come into my code base now, and I will do header. So like I said, it contains the logo. So I will simply do img, then source equals. I'll leave this guy out for now. Leave it empty. Save it up. Let's come over here, and we see nothing. So while I can compose the logo out of text, I'll actually be using an image. And that image is saved on Cloudinary as well. So if I come to Beard Kits and I come over here you can see Beard Kits logo, click on these 3 dots here, and I can click on copy URL, then paste this guy in here, save it up. And if I come over here now, we have Beard Kits logo. It's the first year. Let me check up. Okay, it's still here. Awesome. So we have the logo now. Awesome. So we have the logo. The next thing we want to deal with now is the navigation. So I will come in here and I will do nav, which is the HTML tag that has been given to us to create navigation bar. Then I'll create an unordered list. It can be an ordered list or an unordered list. It really doesn't matter. So I will do OL, then I will do LI, list item. Then I will create an anchor tag. Anchor tags are used to link to either part of your website or to external links. So I'll do ahref, and I will just leave it empty for now. So this is like the basic structure for our menu. So
Okay.
I'll come. You
Sorry,
said?
please, can I chip in? What's the difference between an order list and and on other list.
Okay, cool. So, in terms of the way it works, right? Ordered
Okay.
list is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ordered list is
Okay.
bullet points. Sure you get.
Okay. Yes.
So,
Yes. Yes.
so if you want to list things, you want to go with an ordered list. If you want to just create bullet points, you can. It's preferable that you go with an unordered list. But realistically, you barely see ordered lists or even unordered lists in any code base in the real world. So these things are just good for accessibility because by the time you turn on your screen reader will actually tell you that, oh, this thing is a navigation, this thing is a list, and it contains so number of items.
Okay.
So that's why it's good to take this approach, right?
All right.
So so the first thing, the first menu item here is what? Is features. We have we have how okay, then I will using that same method, I will copy this guy 3 times and I will come over here and I will do how it works. Then I will
Okay.
do then I will do stay updated. Save it up. Let's check out what we have here. We have this guy, which is amazing. So if you observe that, despite the fact that we've not written anything in our CSS to talk about the links and all of that, it already gave us some styling that came default with the browser. So one of the things we want to do is to override this browser default. So I will simply come in here. So let me delete all of these styles, which I do not need.
Okay.
Simply come in here and I will say A, and I will say text decoration. So it's underlined at the moment. I will say text decoration. I will say none, save it up, and it's gone. Then I'll come over here and I'll say color, var. Remember to access your variable, brand
Yes.
color.
Color.
Save it up, and you have this guy. Awesome.
So.
So the next thing is, if you look at the design, we don't have
Numbers.
1, 2, 3, and all of that. The way to do
Yes.
that is this. So the first thing I want to do is there's this thing that is known as specificity when you are writing CSS. And specificity technically is just like the set of rules that is applied to an element that then determines the style that we apply to that element. The first time I had that definition too, it did not make sense. So if it does not make sense to you now, there's no problem. So just try
Okay.
and follow along. So
All right.
basically, so if you look at specificity, the way it sounds is like you want a specific thing to be applied or a specific style to be applied to an element, right? So in this case now, we have an ordered list here. In real life, you might have lots of ordered lists, and some ordered lists on your website, you may actually want it to have you may actually want it to have
Like one,
one
two, three.
that kind of thing. So
Okay.
what I will come in here now is I will come in here and give this guy a class of main header, right? Then
Okay.
this navigation now, I can now come here and say class equals main. In fact, I can just call it main navigation or main nav. Let's just call it main nav, right?
Okay.
I can now come in here within my CSS. I can go ahead and come in here and say class also is now equals main nav list. It will still
Okay.
work. So
Okay.
what that mean now? So if you look at this now, this is telling you a story. You can see, oh, this is your main header, this is your main navigation, this is your main
Yeah.
navigation list. So if I come within my CSS now, can I come here and say dot main nav list and say list style is none. Save it up, and you can see
Okay.
that the 1, 2, 3 is gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, awesome. The next thing is we want these guys to be on the same line. We don't want it stacked on top of each other like this.
Okay.
So apparently, I can come in here now and say, I can come in here and say class equals main nav lists item. But I will not be doing this. So what I will do is I'll simply come in here and say
How did you do it that you are able to type
on
uh
multiple lines, Abby.
on multiple lines?
Okay. So yeah. Here's the way to go about it. To type on multiple lines in VS Code, I'll come to the first line,
Okay.
right? Then hold Alt, click on where I want to start on the second line, click on where I want to start on the third line, and I can begin to
Wow.
type at the same time.
Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So those things are helpful. So
Yeah. Very, very helpful. It
so
saves someone a lot of stress.
exactly. So I will now say main nav list li, which is this guy, right? Li. Then I'll come here and I would say display should be
Okay.
inline block. So at the moment it is block. So by saying display inline block, automatically these guys come on a straight line.
Okay.
So the next thing I want to do is to put space in between these items. So if I come to Figma, I can measure the space in between these items. So I will zoom in here and I'll simply hold Alt or Option, depending on whether you are Mac on PC. So this is 62 pixels. This is 62 pixels. So I can now come in here and say margin left. So I'm saying that each list item have a margin left of, let's say, 3 em. So 1 em is 16 pixels.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so if I do 4 em, 4 em is actually the right thing because it's 62 pixels. So we just roll with this and boom, we are good to go. But we are not totally good to go. Why? Because
It's still at the
this
bottom
guy,
of our
you
logo.
say,
It's still at the bottom of our logo. Our list is at
of the
the bottom
logo.
of our logo.
Exactly. So the logo and the list items are supposed to be on the same line.
Yeah.
So I will come over here now and say main header. Main header is the parent to the logo itself and the nav item. So I will come here and I will say dot main header. I'll say that the display should be flex. And by simply doing flex, it puts both of them on the same line, which is what we want, right? So
Okay.
because this viewport is small, that's why it looks like this. If I try and adjust it a bit here, you can see that it's actually on the same line, which then introduces another problem. And that problem is that this guy is supposed to be, this guy is at the edge. This guy is also supposed to be like at the edge here. So what then? So the way we can achieve that is if we come to main header, display flex, I can do justify content and I will do space between. Save it up and you can see that it puts this guy, this first element here, then it sends this last element. Remember that these guys, this whole nav is a group that is a child to the header. The logo itself is a child to the main header. And
Yes.
basically, that's how we create this
We're able to
separation
split it.
exactly between the two of
Okay.
them. So, one last thing that you may not have observed, however, is that if you look at this design, this guy is not touching this edge.
Yes, there's a margin. Like
Exactly.
all
This guy
everywhere.
is not touching this edge. Even on the mobile version, it's not
Yes.
touching the edge. Now, the very first thing is so in terms of responsiveness, or when you're converting designs to code and all of that, many a times you can just blindly look at a design and just say, oh, let me just add margin and all of that. But you have to think of edge cases. What if somebody wants to view this on, let's say, a smart TV, right? Will the logo just be touching, like going from like edge to edge as well? No, it should somehow stay at the
Yes.
center of that big viewport because you don't want it to fill the viewport and the design to break. So instead of instead of just adding margin, so I'll come over to the main header here and I will say that the maximum width. So this is actually a value that I've tested and trusted. There's something like that. So it should be 1,300 pixels. But of course, this will not show. Why? Because this viewport is less than 1,300 pixels. But if I come over here and I maximize my screen here, let me maximize it further. You can see that it's no longer touching the edge. Why? Because from here to here is literally, what's this? GT, I don't get money. Oh. So because from here to here is 1,300 pixels. Did you
Okay.
get that? So I'm
Yeah.
saying that no matter the screen that this design is on, the width should never, the width of this section of this header should never go beyond 1,300 pixels. Sure you get? That's what this max width command is doing for us. Now, it's this guy is left aligned. We want it at the center. So I can simply come in here and do margin auto. And that would centralize this design for us. You can see that we now have space to the left, we now have space to the right. But there is still a problem. And what's the problem? The problem is this. On screens that are lesser than 1,300 pixels, this
That
is
rule does not work.
touching the edge. Sure you get.
Okay.
So what I will do now is I will come over here and say padding is 1 and that adds padding to the left. So you just add some space to the left and right so that no matter the screen I am on, these elements are never going to touch the edge of the screen.
The edge.
So you get the gist.
Yeah, I
So you get
grab.
the gist. Awesome. So let's get into it. And literally, we are done with the header. We are done with the header. So the only thing for this header now is just that. Let me remove this guy. I hope it doesn't stop sharing my screen. Almost. There are levels to this thing now. Okay, no wala. But I need to. Okay, thank you, sir. Come and stay here. So, so the next thing is, I want to adjust this logo. I want to adjust it to the appropriate size. So if I come over to this design, I will just check the width of this logo. So the width of this logo is 247 pixels. Then, so I'll come here, give the logo a name. So I will say class equals what? Logo. I can just do logo
Okay.
or brand logo. Anyone that works, anyone that you feel works. So let me go back to letting these guys be side by side. I think that was seeing the updates live was a bit much more effective. Type to the right of
Yes, yes,
screen.
yes.
Then this guy as well. Then bring this guy in. Awesome. So of course we will ignore this guy for now because we are not taking responsiveness into account right now. So if I now come here, I can now say dot main header. So one other thing you will observe is the hierarchy of my CSS. Even though the next thing I want to style is my logo, I didn't come to the end here and now come to style my logo. Why? Because
Logo.
this is main header. After main header, the next thing we have is the logo. After the logo is when we have the nav. So you should follow the same hierarchy, the same structure you followed in your HTML, in your CSS. Do you get the gist? So
Yes.
if I come over here, that's why you see that after main header, I still came back here to come and do dot brand logo. And I'll simply do that. The width should be what? 247 pixels. But we may not notice a difference. But let's see. Like I suspected, there was no difference. But I personally know that for this screen or for like screens like this logo is too much. So sometimes the values you pick from Figma, you cannot just dogmatically come and dump it in your CSS. That's where that's like the engineering part of front end. That's like what I tell people. Because obviously, if you look at this logo, even on full screen, this logo looks big, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
47. If you look at the design, So what you are trying to balance in your head is the context between what is big and what looks nice. So you get so
Yes.
even though it says here that the width is 247 pixels, I will not use 247 pixels. Why? Because in context of my laptop screen, this logo looks big compared to what we have
What's in the
in the
design?
actual design. Sure you get.
Yes.
So let me even adjust this preview link to show very well. So you can see this is the
Mm.
actual design. If I toggle this, like it looks big, it's obvious. So I'll simply come here and just adjust like maybe 200 pixels, and this is our design. This is our developed version now. This is
Yeah.
our and it looks close. In
Yeah.
fact, it seems like I can even do 180 pixels.
180.
Yeah. So many a times the value you pick from
Better.
Figma
Better.
is not an holy grail. You still have to like use common sense to be able to figure out the way things are working, right? And
Okay.
first section of our website, good to go and ready for deployment. So I can come here now. So this is like where Github is useful. So let's say this is all I wanted to work on this night. I want to get back to it tomorrow. And let's say I don't know if they will steal my laptop overnight or anything will happen. So I can simply come in here now and say git add. So this is like you are saving this thing to history, right? Because that's
Okay.
basically what the version control is for you to be able to monitor changes and for like other people to collaborate with you and all of that. That's like a layman definition. Then I can now say git commits, then I will add a message. Then I will do fit. I will say main header. Fit stands for feature. Do this, commit it, then I'll do what? Git push. Then if I come over to GitHub, if I come over to GitHub, save it up, you can see that this index.html now and style.css have a new message in front of them. Remember that when I
Yeah.
first created it, the message for everything was what? Files to code. Now it
Yeah.
is made. If I click on index.html as well, you can see the code
The
that
codes
has been
that we've written already.
so far. So somebody can clone this to their laptop and continue working with it, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's like the way these things work under the hood. So the next thing now is let me put this guy to being side by side with this guy. Um, if there's anybody joining us in this live stream, drop comments in the comment section, so that we can vibe with you. Life is not that hard. So window tile to right of screen. No, this guy should be tile to right of screen. Then bring this guy in. So this, so let me come over here. So the next thing now is this section, beard grooming for kings. So I will come over here. So after the main header, the next thing is to have a section. Then inside this section, we have an H1, and the text will be what? Beard grooming for kings. Save it up, and let's see what we have. Awesome. So what you want to do, of course, is come in here and check the font size. You are aware of the color. It does not have a color per se. What it has is an outline, but you can come here and check the font size, which is 200 pixels, which of course will not work as well because this is not the first time I'm writing the code for this design. So I will come here and I will give this guy a name. So I will say maybe hero section, class equals hero. This could be
Section.
called, you can call this anything, but just use a name that you know you can easily remember.
Standouts. Okay.
Exactly. So then I can come and give
Okay.
this guy now and say hero title, right? Then I can come in here now and say dot hero title, and I'll say font size equals what? 200 pixels. Let me come back here and save this guy up, and you can see that it is big, just like we desire,
Yeah.
but well, there isn't any but for now, though. It is big just as we desire. So, but before we go ahead and continue and criticize the design further or whatsoever, I will just go ahead and implement this outline stuff. And this outline, even though it looks like black magic, is actually one of the easiest things in the world. So the first thing you want to do is remove the outline of this, remove this text color. So you can do that by simply saying color equals black so that it takes the color of the background. But this is not sustainable if you have a multicolor background, right? So in that case, you can just say that the color is transparent. You can see that it's basically the same result that it's giving us. Then for us to have an outline of this color instead of a fill, I'll come here and do hyphen WebKit hyphen text stroke, and I will do 1 pixel var brand color. Save it up, and boom, you have this guy. Simple as ABC. You can adjust this guy further. The sweet spot that I found for this was 1.5 pixels. So I will use 1.5 pixels for this, and you're good to go. So before we go further, let me expand this screen, and you will notice a classical error almost immediately. And what is that classical error? So, and it is this. If you look at our design, this guy is left aligned to this guy. If you look at this design, the current design we have at the moment, this guy is aligning to the edge of this screen, right? Now, if you remember that before now, also, this guy was also aligning here and this guy was aligning here. And how did we achieve this guy to have some space here? We came here and we did what? We said that max width should be 1300 pixels, the padding should be 1 em, then the margin should be auto. The question you now ask yourself is, do you want to copy and paste this code and come and put it here? What if the designer is strong-headed and now says that, oh, I don't want a padding of 1 em. I by force want padding of 2 em. So for every section of your website, are you then going to come and change this value? Then it then makes sense to abstract this property of having some space to the left and right into a utility class. In this case, I will call it a container. And basically, here's the way it's going to work. So if I come in here now and I do dots, so because it's utility or it's an utility, I'll simply come here and just do dot container. So it comes before every other thing. And I will copy this guy, copy everything here, save it up, and of course, this guy is messed up. I can then come in here and say that the main header should also have a class of container. Save it up. It's now back here. What that means is I can now come to my hero section as well and do container. Save it up, and you can see that this guy is now left aligned to this. Now, back to what I was saying about the font size. If you look at the final design, this is the final design here in preview mode, and this is what we've developed so far. It's obvious that this font size is way too big, and not like the way Burna Boy talked about it. Like, it's just way too big in a way that is not nice. So I'll come in here and I would set the font size to 160 pixels. 160 pixels. Let's do 170 pixels. And let's see what that gives us. Okay. 160 pixels it is. 160 pixels. Save it up. And this looks like this already. So we have this guy. We have this guy. We have this guy. Right? So the next thing I want to do is bring in the image. It's the first thing on this call. So the next thing I want to do is bring in this image, copy the URL, come over here and do img source equals, paste this guy, and boom. Then I will do alt equals beard kits, because literally this is a kit for beard grooming. So come over here and you can see that the image is below here. So the image is below because by default in HTML Because by default in HTML and CSS, everything is in block format. That is from top to bottom. So sorry, let me add a fair now. Add to stream. Okay, good. Ife is back. So it's from top to bottom by default. So before Ife went off, so basically what I did was to add this image, which comes from Cloudinary over here. So I just added this image, and that gave us this result, which is this image right here. But
Okay.
according to the design, we want this image to be like on the same level with this guy and even be behind the text. And the way to do
Okay.
that is actually quite simple. So we have dot hero. So we have hero title. I'll come in here and do class, and I say hero image. I can now come in here and I will say dot hero image position should be absolute. Save it up and let's see what that gives us. These are our code, these are our design. Wait, dot hero image, save this guy up and okay. So ideally this is supposed to flow out of the document. Let me save it up and let's see what that gives us. Okay, it's not showing anything. Just to be sure that this is working, I would come over here and I would do top 0 and I would do right 0. So good. That means that it is working. So I don't know if you got that, Ife.
Okay. Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool. So the very next thing I want to do now is that let us adjust the width. So the width, according to what we have here, is 627 pixels, which of course I know is a scam. But I would simply come in here and say that the width is 500 pixels. Save it up, come over here, and I think this looks good already. So the next thing I want to do is I want this guy to be behind this text. And the way to do that is I will say that the Z index should be
Index
-1.
-1.
And you can see that it is behind it now. But there is a problem. When I said that this guy should be top 0 and right 0, that top is referencing the document window. That is your browser in itself. It's not referencing this section. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. If you check the design, it is actually touching the top of this section, holding this beard grooming for kings, and it is touching the right hand side here, not the edge of the browser, unlike what we have here. So how do we fix that up? So if I come over here and I say that dot hero position should be relative, this guy will now be relative to the hero section. I don't know if you observe what happened now.
Yes, I did.
Awesome. So so I want to adjust. I will make the width of this guy 400 pixels actually, and 450. Let's see. Okay, yeah, cool. Let me do 450 pixels. I think I'm more satisfied with this. But there's one more problem. Do you know what that problem is? The problem is that this guy is at the center. This text, this image
It's
here,
at the
is
center
at
of
the
the
center
image.
of the text.
Okay.
Check
Yeah.
it. It's at the center of the text. So how do we achieve that? So the first thing I would do here is I will come over here. So instead of saying that the top should be 0, I will say that the
Yeah.
top should be 50%, 50%, 50%. Then I will transform it and do translate y minus 50%. If you ask me to explain how this thing works, honestly speaking, I cannot explain it to you. But this is just one of the techniques of centralizing things. And as you can see here, this guy.
It's 22 hours.
This image now is
It's not
centralized
centralized.
to the text, which is perfect for what we want to do. So there's one more thing though, which is this hero section. Let me give it a background of this hero section. Let me give it a background of, let's say, yellow. background color, let's say yellow. I don't know why yellow is like default thing I go for these days. Yellow, save it up. Now, when we we set a container. I like the way this looks at the moment, but I have one problem. And you know what that problem is that if you check this guy, this design, this header, I want it
Yeah.
to have a padding top and bottom. But I don't want this section, this particular section, to have padding top and bottom.
And
And
bottom.
the reason it has padding top and bottom, bless me, right now, is because we added this class of container.
Container.
And by default, the container class has what? A
Store
padding of
property.
1 EM
1
in
EM.
all directions. So what I want to do now is this container, I'll be using the whole lot. And for most sections that I'll be using it on, I don't want those sections to have a padding of 1 EM top and bottom. So basically what I will do is I'll modify the padding of this guy to 0 EM, then save it up, and you can see that no more padding, right? Now, this guy, I want it to have padding. I want this header section to have
And that's
padding.
section.
So I will come over here. I'll come over to the header section here, and I'll simply do padding equals 1
1
EM,
EM.
0 EM. This first value represents the padding top and bottom, while the second value represents the padding top left and right. I can also come here and do, I could as well come here and do padding top, padding bottom. But I just feel like this is more convenient. Short hand. Save this up, and this guy is back to having its padding. Then I can come back here and remove the background color of yellow from this guy, and we are good to go. At least
Good.
so far so good. So I don't know if there are any questions so far. Any questions so far?
Well, I could see. I wanted to ask that why did we use the yellow background now? But I could see is to set the padding appropriate for the beard grooming for kings and the picture.
Yeah. So sometimes it's good practice to just use random colors for you to be able to much more. Because, for example, now everything here is black. So it's difficult for you to distinguish between each sections, right? So
Yes.
just by setting the background color of that particular section, I can much more accurately detect the things that are going on within that section and make adjustments for it. Sure you get?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. So now that we are done with this section, technically, is the next section is the video section. So I'll come over here and I will simply come here and say section, and I'll say that the class should be video, and I will add a container as well. So I most likely will be using container throughout like this entire design. Then this will be an embedded video, and the video I want to embed. So of course there is a preview here, but of course this is fictional. But the video I want to embed is actually this live stream. So I will simply come over here and do share, embed, then copy this code and paste it in here. Save it up, and if I come over to Beard Kit, we now have this video, which of course I can play, and there might be some interference. So we now have this video. But what I want to do now is I want to style this video further. First is this frame is a little bit too big for me. This frame is too small rather. So I want to expand it a bit and just like work on the aspect ratio and all of those things. So I will come in here. So we now have a class called video, and there's an iframe within this video. So I will come here and say that. So you can see the way I'm naming my classes. It tells you what that section would do.
It's not about
So if I say,
all
yeah,
contents.
exactly. So if I do dot video, I can target this iframe and say dot video iframe. Then I will say that the maximum width, that is, no matter the screen that this video is on, the maximum width should be 800 pixels. So of course, if I come here, it doesn't affect
Okay.
anything at the moment. Then I would now say that
Okay.
the width itself should be 100%. So what I'm saying is this is my desired width for this iframe is 100%. But so that this thing will look nice, I don't want this width to ever go beyond 800 pixels. And that's what we have here. So what that means is that if we're on a screen that is 800 pixels, the width of this guy will be 800 pixels. If we're on a screen that is 600 pixels, the width of this guy is 600 pixels. Why? Because what we have set is what is the maximum width. It should not be more than that. But
Yeah.
the problem right now is this guy now looks too stretched. The aspect ratio looks messed up. I can now come over here and say that the height should be 500 pixels, 450 pixels. I've worked with one of those values, and yeah, this aspect ratio looks nice.
Okay.
The next thing is I want to bring it to the center.
Center.
I'll say that the display should be block first. That doesn't show any impact. Then I can now do margin auto. Save it up, and this guy is now at the center. Easy, easy as
Yeah.
ABC. Maybe ABC is not
Okay.
that easy. So, so the other thing I want to do is I just want to add some padding. So I'll just do dot video. I'll just say padding. Let's just say like 50 pixels, then 50 pixels, then 0, just so that there's some space top and bottom of it. Cool, we are good to go. Then the next section. So I don't know if you have any questions so far. If there's anybody in the chat section that has any question, please drop it.
Nobody else.
Nobody yet. Okay.
Nobody else.
All right. So the next thing I want to create now, or the next section is join the beard gang, which is like the last section, right? So I'll come over here and I'll do section. So there's this thing that is known as emmet. So and
What?
basically emmet. You may
Okay.
check it out. I don't really have a technical definition of what it does because I barely use it because majorly I'm writing React code these days, but it's very useful when you're writing CSS from scratch. So basically what it allows you to do is instead of having to come here and do section, right? And I'll come in here and I'll type, let's say class equals video container and all of those things. I can simply do this. I will say section dot join the gang,
Okay.
join the gang dot container. If I press enter, it simply creates a section that has those classes for me. So
Yeah.
so you may check out Emmet. I think it's also like very useful. So for this join the gang, I will use an H3 and I will also join the beard gang. Awesome. So let's see what that gives to us. Then I will do class because join the gang title. It's actually entirely up to you. So I will do dot join the gang title. So let me save it up. We don't even see what it looks like at the moment. So we have joined the gang, looking good, looking dope. Then I will just do text align, center, save it up. Good, looking nice and dope and everything. Then I will come over here, check the font size, 80, which of course is a scam, but I will just work with it like that. Say font size is 80 pixels. 80 pixels. Font size is 80 pixels. Save it up. Let's see what it looks like. Awesome. I actually don't mind. Then, of course, we'll remove the background, right? We'll remove the background color, set it to transparent. Background color, transparent. Save it up. Why is it not? It's not showing. It's still showing. Oh, sorry. It's a text, not a section. So the color, it should be the color that we are setting to transparent. Cool. Then we can now come in here and say that WebKit web kits, text, stroke, 1 pixels, var, brand color. Save it up and join the beard gang is up. We have that section now. The next thing is the form that is here. And it's actually simple. Don't let me say simple. So I will come in here and I will say form. This is a form. I will just say action equals, action is like where you want to submit the form to. Action equals nothing for now. Equals nothing for now. Ash. Where's Ash? Ah, oh God. Okay, yeah. That should be 3. Then I'll create 2 inputs. Inputs type equals email, right? The placeholder is email address, email address. I think that's pretty much all we need. I'll duplicate this guy, then I'll change this guy to submit, save it up, and see what we have. This is what we have. So the only problem is for you to change the text of submit, you cannot use placeholder. You have to use value. So I'll change the text to join.
Okay.
You can see that the text is now changed to join. So
Yes.
these inputs, so both of them are inputs, right? And they have similar properties, especially like in terms of size and all of those things. So I will style. So what I'll first do is to style the inputs, the input tag in itself. Then I will now style the individual elements later on. And basically, this is what I'm saying. So I'll simply come here and say inputs. I will say that, so a few properties. First and foremost is this guy does not have any background. It simply has an outline. This guy has a background of the brand color, a text of white. And another thing is, if you click on this guy, you may not see it, but okay, you can see it. You can see
Yes,
that
I
it
can
has,
see it.
yeah, it has like a blue outline. It may not be so,
Outline.
yeah, it has like a blue outline. So those are like one of the things that we want to remove at first before we like get into stuffs. So I'll come in here and just say that the outline, oh, they just restored electricity. The outline should be none. The outline should be none. So by setting the outline to none, that blue thing goes away. Oh God, that blue thing goes away. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to remove the background color. So I'll say that the background color should be transparent. You can use none as well. It works. So of course, this guy goes away. Then also, I want to style the border properly. So I will say that the border should be 1 pixels, solid var, brand color. Save it up, and let's see what that gives us. You can see that we now have this. But the problem is that the height of these guys is still not quite right. So the first thing I want to do is check the font size of this text. This is 24 pixels. This is 24 pixels as well. But I will not be using 24 pixels because I know that these values sometimes don't look good when you are writing code. So I will do font size 18 pixels actually. Then come over here and check what that looks like. Awesome, cool. The other thing I need to do is I need to explicitly, so many a times when you come over here and you set the font size of the body or the font family of the body to, let's say, Noe Machina, you expect that every element is supposed to now use Noe Machina as their font family, but that doesn't usually work for inputs. So you have to still explicitly set it. So
Okay.
I will still come in here and say that font family. These were actually things that took time for me to actually realize. I'll be done with the website that year. I'll have wondering, the font inside the input is not the same now, but this is basically like the trick that does it. Then the next thing is to add some padding. Padding is 1 EM. So I'll just use 1 EM for now and let's see what that gives us. If it looks good, we roll with it.
Okay.
It looks good for, I'm comfortable with it for the left and right, but I'm not sure about the top and bottom. So so for the top and bottom, I'll just do like 0.75 EM and let's see what that gives us. Okay. I think let's just stick with 1 EM, right? And observe that this guy is really not showing anything right now.
Yeah,
But one
the
thing you observe is
join
that they have the same height. Yeah, the join is not showing because the
yet.
color is black by default, but we'll still get back to it. So
Okay.
the next thing I want to do is to adjust the width of this guy. So I'll simply say that the width is 100% Abby. So I will say that the width is, what's the width? 435 pixels. And I will actually be using that 435 pixels, 435 pixels, 435 pixels. We have this and it's affecting both of these guys.
The join
So
section.
yeah. So now at least I know that this guy is working. Let me test it. Okay, it's working, but it's not working because right now I'm trying to type something and it's not even showing what I'm typing. So the way to fix that is I'll come over here and I'll say that. So like I tell you, it doesn't inherit all the property that your body has. So I will just come here and say brand color. You can see how convenient it is to use this brand
Yeah.
color. You don't have
Yeah.
to think about the color code or anything again. So you can see now that my email is showing up here now.
Okay. Even the join now is showing.
The join now is showing as well. Awesome. So to style the join now separately, the first thing is that the join now should have
A
a,
smaller box or something.
yeah, it should have a smaller box and the background should be the
Should be
brand
like,
color
yeah.
and the text should be black. So to do that, I'll come here and say inputs and I will say that type. So I've forgotten what these selectors are called, but there is a way you can select elements based on their attributes. I don't know if they are called attribute selectors. So for example, type is an attribute of input. So you can select an input with an attribute whose type is equals to submit. So basically that's what I'm doing here. So and the way you define that is you do inputs square bracket type equals submit, right? Then
Okay.
curly braces. Then I can now come here and first of all, say that the background color should be the brand color, right? Then the color should be black.
We were black.
Save that up and let's see what that gives us. Boom, you have this guy. The next thing I want is the text is uppercase. While I could go ahead and write the text in uppercase, CSS gives us an undo property that allows us to do that, and that's called text transform. I'll simply set that to uppercase, save it all, and let's see what it gives us. Uppercase, and I'm cool with this. The next thing, of course, is to adjust the width. Hey, what's up, guys? So apparently the network had disconnected, and I did not know.
Yeah.
So if you can still, can you still see my screen, if
I'm not seeing screen now. Maybe you
Okay,
should share.
yeah, let me share. Share screen. Share screen. Entire screen. Let me see. Entire screen. Hello. How about now?
Okay. Okay, displaying.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So, all right. So it seems I need to go a couple of steps back, and all right, and that will not be a problem. So let me just save this guy up and okay. So what we need to do now is to show like the way this guy is working, right? Or how I arrived at this guy. So basically what I did was so this form element that's holding these two guys,
Okay.
I turned it to an inline flex. So by default, when a flex item has children, what it does is it is just
I'm with
attach
you. I'm with
together. Sure you get. So that's how we're able to solve that problem. So what we are trying to do now is to ensure that these two items are at the center. So and to do that, we just do join the gang. So join the gang, which is what is holding all of these guys together. I'll do join the gang, and I will say that display should be flex. But apparently, right now, which was what you saw, if you do display flex, it just tries to flex everything together. It just tries to model things up, just like we have here. And that's because by default, the flex direction is row, that is moved from left to right. We can, however, change the flex direction to column. And let's see what that gives us.
so that I can stack it.
Exactly, so that it can stack top to bottom. Now, the last thing we
Okay.
want to do is we want to now do justify contents center.
Okay.
So that should bring all the elements to the center. But this guy is still not coming to the center. So this is time to inspect. So I'll bring this guy here. Then I will inspect this guy. Then of course, the join the gang form is filling up this section. So it's an inline flex. Let me do width should be max contents. That is, the width should be based on the width of the contents that it's holding, and that should solve the problem, but that's not solving the problem. Okay, no problem. This is why we are developers, I guess. So so inline flex, let me do justify contents center, justify contents center. That should solve it. All right, awesome. So that was what I needed actually. Justify content center. So that brings all the elements to the center. I hope that StreamYard is still ongoing. All right. So justify content center, and apparently I don't need this guy. Save this guy up. Come back here. Let me just do display flex. Justify content center. Okay, yeah. So that solved the problem. So you got what I did there. So
Yes,
we
yes, yes.
joined
Our video is gone. Oh.
the video is gone.
Yes, like the embedded video.
Okay, it should come back actually. It should come back. Let's see. Oh, we had some moments that we blacked out. So it's that
Okay.
blackout moment that is probably here at the moment. But the video should the video nothing should be wrong with the video. Let me check. Yeah, everything looks cool here. Nothing should be wrong with the video. I'm guessing it's that blackout section that is showing up right now. That's why. So we have this guy. We have this guy. One last thing I want to add is this thing does not look like you should click it. So I'll simply come here and say that the cursor should be pointer, save it up, and now it now looks like something you should click. Awesome. So then that's for that. Then the next thing is the footer. I'll come in here and say footer and add a paragraph, and I'll say designed and developed by Aremu Smog for Web Boss. So this class name would be, class is main footer, Then of course I'll give it that container as well. Then save it up. Let's see what we have. We have this guy. Then I'll do dot main footer text align center. Font size is 14 pixels. Then the color is what? Brand color.
Yeah. Variable.
Yeah. Then we have that. Then I will add some padding.
Padding.
1 EM, 0 EM, and that's okay. The padding is not so much. Let's do 2 EM. That's a bit obvious, but not so obvious. Let's do 4 EM.
Okay.
Okay, I love this. Can you go away, please? Thank you. So good. I love this. Let's check what we have in the design. Oh, the design is still reloading and we don't have that time. So one thing I'm sure of in the design is that, okay, there's actually more padding to the top of this than at the bottom. So
Yes,
basically
yes.
So basically what I would do is, I'm satisfied with this padding. I will simply add a margin top of, let's say 7 EM or 6 EM, and let's see what that gives us. Okay, yeah. So this looks similar to what we have there.
Yes.
This looks similar. Then I think I'll make it 4 EM actually. All right, cool. So the last thing we want is, I want to add links here. So I'll do ahref. So I will link. So both links will actually go to this YouTube video. Okay, one will go to this YouTube video and the other will go to WebBoss YouTube channel. So I'll just do ahref equals this guy, cut, paste, right? Then so this video, share. Okay, it's taking some time. Take your time. I think the network is not really on our side today.
Or maybe there is no link for it yet since it is live.
No, there is a link for it. Else we would not be able to promote it.
Okay.
So let's see. Let's refresh and let's see. Let's refresh and let's see. Okay, I'm even disturbing. I was even disturbing myself. I can simply copy this guy and paste. Yeah. Then I will do WebBoss YouTube channel. Let me see. I can right-click this guy and copy link. Technology was made for man, and not man for technology. Awesome. Save this guy up and let's see if these links are working. Yeah, let's see. They look like they are working, but there is nothing to distinguish.
signify that we have a link there.
Exactly. So I'll simply come in here and I'll say dot main footer. Then I'll target the anchor links that are within that, and I'll say text decoration should be underlined. Save it up, and let's see what we have. And we have these two guys. And that's pretty much it. So I can now come here and say git add,
Add.
git commit, then add the message fix.
Fit.
Just say desktop
Okay.
version.
Okay. So
That's
this
essentially
desktop version means we've like completed the stage we are at, which means we've completed the desktop version of it.
version. Exactly. We've
Okay.
completed the desktop version of this. So if somebody else needs to work on this, they just need to clone this repo and just continue their own work from where I have stopped. And
Okay.
that's like the end of this. Okay, there's one more thing. There's one more thing, which is to link these sections to the various sections that they are supposed to go to. So the first section is supposed to go to features, and that features page is basically like this our hero section. So I'll simply come in
Okay.
here and give this guy an ID, and I'll say features, and I will say href hash features. So this is used for linking
We'll
to
link
various
to that.
sections of the website. Yeah.
Mm,
So for the how it works, that how it works is like the video section. So I'll give it ID of how it
it works.
works, then hashtag how it works. Join the gang, stay updated. That's join the gang. So I'll call this guy ID because stay updated. Then hash stay updated. So let's now see features. Nothing much. It brought us here. How it
Wow.
works. It brought us to the video.
Wow.
Stay updated. It
Wow.
brought us to this section. So
Wow.
if we want, so now, so let's assume that that was a mistake. Like I actually missed it out, and it was after we deployed the website that somebody discovered that these links were not correctly linked. So when I'm coming here, I can simply do add git commit. Then in my commit message, so that anybody who looks at this code knows that, oh, there was a mistake, I can use the keyword fix. It really doesn't do anything, but it just gives
Okay.
more description to what has been happening. So fix
Okay.
link menu to sections.
Okay. So that
So
let's say
this,
somebody else want to continue working on it, he will
yeah,
he or she will know what the problem is and be able to know the tag or the line code that is having the issue.
exactly. So the person is able to track, oh, the
Yeah.
last thing that this person did was to fix the menu, the link menu to sections of the website.
Mm, exactly.
So what I can do now is to do git push,
Push.
then it
So it
reflects
will
on
it,
GitHub.
it will save it automatically on GitHub like that.
Yeah, it goes to GitHub. So one last fix that I want us to add to this is so right now if you look at this, if I click on features, it jumps to that page. If I do it jumps. So I'm not sure how this will work, but let's just try it. I think if we do body and we do scroll behavior and I do smooth. So instead of jumping, what we should have now is okay, still jumping. Let's see. Okay,
Mm.
so I
It's
think this
scrolled now.
body, huh?
I said it's scrolled now.
No, it was jumping. No,
Oh,
it's jumping. It's still jumping. It's not scrolling. I think it goes within the HTML. It goes within the HTML and this as well. Let's save it up and let's analyze this. No, it's still jumping. So let's just check smooth scroll. Smooth scrolling with CSS. I know it's one command. How to create a smooth scrolling effect. So they say what I need is the command. All these English is they say HTML scroll behavior smooth. HTML. That's what I did now. Okay, let me remove for this guy. And let's see. You're supposed to scroll. No. It's still jumping. I guess. Okay, let me just copy his code. It's actually not. Let me copy his code. Paste. Just to ensure that I enter the correct thing and that the error is not for me. You see jumping? Oh, it could be a Safari issue actually. So let's try Firefox. Local host 5,500. I actually don't trust Safari. It was a Safari issue. So you see that it's scrolling now. Smooth
Yeah.
scrolling. Stay updated. Aha. Good. So it was a Safari issue. So I can now come here and say git add, git commit.
Fixed group.
No, this is a feature now.
Okay, okay.
So fit smooth scrolling.
Scroll.
Smooth scroll.
Link.
Now, so let me push this guy and let me just talk about one last thing about working with GitHub before we go. So now, remember that this smooth scroll thing was not working in Safari. What that means
Yes.
now is I can come within GitHub. So let's say this is a team that is working on this project. I can come within GitHub and now create an issue and say that new issue, say smooth scroll not working in
On
Safari.
Safari.
So then I can give more information about it. Then I can
Okay.
assign to somebody on the team. So in this case, this is myself, right? If there are any labels, maybe styling bug or whatsoever, that kind of thing. If there's a project or there's a
Okay.
milestone set for it, I can set all of that and submit issue.
Submit.
So if I now come here, you can see that there is issue. If somebody works on this issue, they can then come and open a pull request to it and all that, which I think we have a video on open source, on working with open source as well. We have a video on open source. Let me see. There's one video like that on open source. Where's that video? Okay, yeah, this video. This video covers that process of pull requests and all of those things. For anybody that is interested, for anybody who watches this video and is interested, and if you're interested as well, you can
Yeah,
check it
sure.
out.
Sure.
So I guess that's pretty much it for this. Oh, we have 361 subscribers now. That's amazing. To everyone who subscribed, thank you. We had 359 before. Now it's
Yeah.
361. Thank you so much, everyone who subscribed. It's really amazing. These are like the kind of encouragement that helps us to do stuff like this. So even though it was totally unplanned, apparently this live stream is going to continue next week because we will be adding more features to the website. We'll do the mobile version of the website as well. So if you're interested in that, do ensure to join us by next week, and we would be more than happy to have you. Where let me switch to this. Yep. So let me stop sharing my screen. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So if you have any closing remarks,
Well, to my own best of knowledge, you've
yeah,
really done a lot of justice to these things. Things that should take maybe months to learn or to figure out. You try
yeah,
to put it all together in one video. So you've really done a good work, honestly, and I believe to every viewers that will be watching this after, they will really learn a lot. Why?
yeah,
Because it's really value packed. It's really value packed. Way across VS Code with shortcuts and how to
yeah,
really convert stuff from Figma to codes on VS Code. It's really a challenge for me to honestly. It's really a challenge. Why? Because I do most times copy the properties on the Figma and try
yeah,
to apply them in the CSS um, code, but at times it will
yeah,
not work. like the issue of the logo now, the size, we have to reduce it.
Yeah.
It's somehow bigger, so we have to reduce it. So
Yeah.
that now, I don't. Most times I will just leave it or shall
Yeah.
find way around it. But
Yeah.
you've given me
Just like
some
act your way
direct
around it.
approach. Yeah, you've given me some direct approach now to work around these things, and it's really a huge a huge thing for me to be seeing in just few hours. So thanks so
Yeah.
much. Thanks so much. I really appreciate your effort. Thank you
Amazing.
very much. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much. This was really, this went smoother than I had anticipated. Like I expected a lot of issues, except for like internet that tried
Yeah,
to
yeah,
fuck up.
yeah, yeah. I don't know why the internet just decided to give us a glitch along the way.
Yeah, but this was really amazing, and I look forward to next week.
Thanks so much. I too look forward to to keep learning so that I
Yeah,
can reduce my learning curve.
I know that one. I guarantee.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
everybody, and don't
And thanks
forget
to
to,
all Webos team.
yeah, don't forget to build like a boss.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks so
guys.
much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, let me snap video for the gram. Let me snap picture for the gram. Thanks. Awesome. Bye. I don't know come out too.